everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Toronto Diversity Festival Panel Discussion. It is a pleasure to be here today with you. I have amazing guests. We have amazing guests, and we look forward to connecting with our guests. A little bit about the Toronto Diversity Festival. Firstly, it's our pleasure to collaborate with community and team dedicated to Moksha Canada Foundation and the Toronto Diversity Festival. The Toronto Diversity Festival is remarkably close to our hearts as it speaks to our core values as citizens of the GTA, Ontario, Canada, and beyond. We celebrate the spirit of oneness and beauty of our diversity, which in turn enables the richness of our communities by thriving in an atmosphere of respect, unity, diversity, inclusion, and what it means to be a valued citizen. The TDF brings awareness and understanding as we celebrate, learn, and grow together in a safe space and place where everyone matters. The festival features the best Canadian and international artists and performances showcasing an eclectic group of cultures, heritage, food, music, and much more. Drawn from both inside and outside the community, artists, composers, bands, and performers and participants from all over Canada, across Ontario and beyond, converge to celebrate culture together. It is a pleasure to be here today. Our topic for the TDF Panel Discussion 2024 is Building Bridges, Navigating Diversity and Inclusion. My name is Lynn McEntee, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Alison Armstrong, who is an investigator for SIU. Her personal bio is she is a first-generation Canadian whose parents come to Canada from Barbados. She's a proud Black woman, dedicated public servant, and an advocate who always stands up for the underdog. We'll do a shout out to Alison before we get started. Hi, Alison.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Nice to connect with you again. All right. And then we have Tina Sharma, who is the Manager of Partnerships and Events at the Toronto Zoo. Tina Sharma is the manager, of course, and the for partnerships and events at the Toronto Zoo, where she leads initiatives to connect people, animals, and conversation, and the fight against extinction. With a passion for creating memorable guest experiences, which she does, and fostering community engagement, Tina plays a key role in developing strategic partnerships that support the zoo's mission and enhance the impact. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We have another guest that's going to join us, Councillor Lee from Markham. I would like to introduce Dr. Guru Dutt. Councillor Lee will probably join us in the middle of our conversation and jump into action with us. All right, and we'd like to welcome Dr. Guru Vaid, who is a homeopathic practitioner in Toronto with 52 years experience. He is a recipient of the Ontario Award for 20 years dedicated social service. He works with different organizations to serve people with mental health issues and children and families struggling with mental health challenges at school and in society. Welcome, Dr. Guru.
Thank you very much for kind introduction.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to have our guests here today. And as I mentioned, we'll have another guest join us, City Councillor Lee from City Councillor from Markham. All right, friends. So we're here for the Toronto Diversity Festival. My name is Lynn McEntee. We're building bridges, navigating diversity and inclusion. Let's get started. All of the guest speakers were posed the same questions, but of course we can kind of bridge into different parts of the conversation as everybody sees fit. Let's see. Alison, do you want to take it away with the first one, if you don't mind? And the first question was, what does diversity and inclusion mean to you?
What does diversity and inclusion mean to me? It means a lot of things to me. It means understanding. It means being open. Being open, I think, is one of the most important things in understanding diversity and inclusion. You need to be open to be able to include, right? So I think that for me, it means understanding and openness, being able to open your mind to understand different people's backgrounds and things like that, because diversity is so broad. It's not just race. It's not just gender. It's everything, everybody's differences, everybody's capabilities, everybody's ability, everybody's contribution to society. That's what diversity is. And for me, inclusion is the openness and willing to understand where all of these people come from, what their story is, and so we can all build to move forward together.
That's powerful just right there, Allison. So thank you for starting the conversation with that. We're here, folks, doing diversity and inclusion discussion, defining really what it is to us as individuals, as community citizens as well. Thank you, Allison. I really appreciate that. I'd like to jump over to Tina Sharma from your personal perspective, but also working as an employee of the Toronto Zoo. What does it mean, diversity and inclusion to you?
Yeah, like personally, I think diversity is celebration. We have so much that we have given to us in this country we live in with multiculturalism that to celebrate the different diverse cultures that really make us who we are, and the opportunity to learn what different people bring to your everyday lives. Like, so embracing diversity is a celebration, I think, an opportunity to learn about other people, to learn about their backgrounds, to give them a sense of belonging. In this day and age, with everything going on in the world, I think there's also means empathy and being empathetic to, respecting, putting yourself in other people's shoes, and knowing where they come from, understanding what their trials and tribulations are. It really is giving a sense of belonging, a sense of respect, and fostering an environment where people can be accepted for who they are. And it's something I practice with my children at home. It's something that I like to embrace in any of my initiatives at the Toronto Zoo. Of course, we've got animals from all over the world, and it's an opportunity for us to really bring that forward with the communities that it represents as well, and the community that the Toronto Zoo currently is representing, with over 70 different cultures that it surrounds. So ultimately, I think diversity is a celebration. We can really embrace the opportunity there.
And tying in that with inclusion, of course, it complements the diversity. Everyone is welcome at the table, so to speak, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So Allison and Tina, we're welcoming Councillor Lee as well, and thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that. And Councillor Lee, when we have an opportunity, we'll have a moment to introduce you with your bio, and then have you jump into the conversation as well. Thank you so much to Allison and Tina. We're talking about building bridges, navigating diversity and inclusion for the Toronto Diversity Festival Panel Discussion 2024. I'm going to move the conversation over to Dr. Guru. Dr. Guru, if you don't mind, please and thank you, if you could define for yourself personally, but in the work that you do, what does diversity and inclusion mean to you?
Thank you for asking. Diversity inclusion, it is a great challenge, I will say. Because here in Canada, we are from different countries with different culture and different languages. And I will say Canada is a great platform where we can understand each other to be a global citizen, I will say. So and Moksha is doing a very good job here to introduce this subject, and it is very challenging, I will say again, to understand, because when you have to understand some things from the different things, you have to be very open mind. And if your mind is totally open to accept the others' thoughts and their, you can say, their culture, then only you can understand the diversity, particularly how the other communities work, and it can produce a great harmony between them. That is the only way. So if we want that, we should have a great understanding and peace with each community. We have to understand their rules, regulation of their own society, and how they work, and how we should. The one thing is that if you want that your mother should be respected, you have to respect the other's mother, I will say.
I'm
So
hearing
diversity is like that.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're, I'm hearing the common theme of openness. And if we were to then jump over to inclusion, then. So yes, we are talking about diversity and differences and celebrating diversity for our rich communities. And then what about inclusion for yourself? How does that work for you as a professional, but as a father, as a grandfather?
Inclusion mean going easy with the society.
Mm. Yes.
You have no then barriers,
Yeah.
neither of culture, neither of language.
I like
And
that.
particularly in the festival, one of the things is very common. That is the music.
Yeah.
When we dance, when we sing songs, whether we understand the lyrics or not, but it is the music which gives you soothing effect and make you to dance, I will say.
Well, that's good. So no, thank you for that. And so, Councillor Lee, we are talking about, of course, the first question that we posed, and we want to welcome. Thank you, Dr. Guru. We want to welcome Councillor Issa Lee, who is from Ward 8 in Markham. Thank you for being here today and joining us in conversation. Firstly, we'll say hello.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me. This is actually a great opportunity for me to learn more about what others think about like diversity and inclusion. This is actually a very good platform. First of all, I didn't know much about like this platform, but then it was indeed a very great learning opportunity for all of us, actually. So once again, thank you for organizing. And my name is Issa Lee. I'm the Ward 8 councillor with the City of Markham. This is my second term, my 6th year, working as an elected official responsible for my jurisdiction, my ward area. For me, actually, diversity and inclusion, but basically is like a sense and a matter of consideration. And in my area, it's a well mixed ward with different cultures and diverse races and groups. Most of it, I should say, like close to 50% are of Chinese descent. So which is either they're speaking Mandarin or Cantonese. And the next largest ethnic group definitely will be the South Asian. And of course, amongst them, there are like a different, like we have Tamil, we have Indian, South Indian, North Indian, and different groups coming together. So for me, it is a good thing, but also a challenge. Going through all these when my initial view was trying to be first of all getting into the getting together and let people feel that we are all one. But this is difficult enough, given you have so diverse, well, in ethnic, in cultures and everything. So, well, yes, but for me, I think I should be one of the examples set to the residents, saying that, well, we are actually welcome. We welcome all diversities and we welcome different opinions. No, whether I'm Chinese, you're Filipino, or you're South Asian, we all respect each other's cultures and be more considerate about everybody's strengths and differences, or basically what they are mindful of. Like some of the cultural traditions, religious traditions, these are all should be well respected of. Yeah, for me, it is all about respect, consideration. That basically shows how you care about the community and how you care about the individuals in the community.
No, thank you for that. And there certainly is a common theme here, underscoring, the recognition of humanity, openness, and celebrating diversity along the way. What a boring place it would be if we were all exactly the same. It's wonderful and it's rich for our communities to be able to celebrate differences and learn and grow along the way. And that's what we're here for today for this panel discussion. I wondered, if anybody has any questions for Allison at this point for the first question, just from hearing her speak, or Tina at this point, or Councillor Lee, regarding maybe her comments or anything like that. Dr. Guru?
No, thank you.
Okay, yeah, we'll kind of keep it moving forward then, and we'll probably double back for some questions along the way here. So we're celebrating unity and diversity, of course. We're trying building bridges and navigating how to do that in our communities. Thank you to Moksha Canada Foundation for allowing us to be here on this platform to continue to spread the word, to value our citizens as contributing citizens in our society. Toronto Diversity Festival 2024. Amazing guests here today, so I'm humbled to be here with you. Thank you. All right, we have the second question. We're kind of touched on them a little bit, but we'll see where we go with this in conversation. And feel free to deviate, if you will, and take us down a path, should you want to go that way as well. What are some challenges that we face in our communities surrounding both diversity and inclusion? And I'm going to go back to Allison, as I originally had asked her that question. So, Allison, from the work that you do, but also as a citizen, for yourself and you personally.
Yeah. I would say the biggest challenges are I would say an inability and a lack of appreciation for understanding, or people. So for some people, lack of desire for understanding. Again, with the openness, some people are not open to understanding. Right. So I think that that's one of the biggest challenges in the community, the lack of openness and the lack of interest. That there will always be a group that does not want to learn, doesn't want to grow. There'll be people that are always set in their ways. So that will always be a challenge in communities when facing any kind of change.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's an ongoing thing, and probably since the beginning of time, I guess, if you will, which, and it evolves and changes at different points and points of time. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. I was interviewing a gentleman the other day, and he was saying in sports, he really notices that with youth, that our youth, in his opinion, who is a national champion, he's actually noticed a shift. And that people are a little bit more closed as opposed to maybe even 10 years ago, which is surprising to me to hear him say that in the sports world. They're just more protective. And his feeling was it was based on social media and the narrative that is out there in our media in general, right? And I think we can, yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're probably thinking the same thing. You go for it, Allison.
No, I was going to say I do agree with that. I do think that social media, especially the mainstream media and social media, has a lot of influence on the general population, but especially social media with the youth and the things that are being presented to them, the things that they're being exposed to, especially at younger ages now. I think that drives a lot of the opinions that they have and the way that they develop. So their mindset it strays at a lot earlier of an age, I find. And they're, I do feel that it will have an impact on society going forward. But not even just with the youth, with throughout all the generations, I find that it's the common theme of the unwillingness to learn or to want to change, or to want to have change. People are comfortable with what they're comfortable with. They don't want things to change. And that's not for everyone. That doesn't go for everyone. But I think with the challenges that we do face, I think that is a big part of the problem that we face.
And then before I move on to, would you say that increased a bit, I guess, if you will, during COVID? Yeah, I think that.
I would say so, because people had more time on their hands.
Yeah.
Right. And there wasn't as much to do. So I find that a lot of people got into the information searching phase during that time. And you'll find people go down rabbit holes and things like that. So, it depends on what piques your interest.
Oh, good point. Yeah, for sure. That individualism there, right? Yeah, thank you, Allison. That's an amazing talking point. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we're speaking with Allison Armstrong from SIU, and I'm going to pose the same question to Tina Sharma from the Toronto Zoo. And what are some of the challenges we face in our communities surrounding both diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I agree with everything Allison said. I think she articulated that really well. As much as we have the opportunity to celebrate diversities, it also, I think, does create a bit of a cultural divide when we have people who might be, or groups that might be reluctant to be open to different perspectives and open to, the idea of respecting everybody and accepting them for who they are. And sometimes that does develop into stereotypes, unfortunately negative stereotypes, that also then I think creates this cultural divide. So I think that is a challenge, not something that we can overcome overnight, but I think with organizations like Moksha and the initiatives that you guys have put forward to try to create awareness around diversity and inclusion and what that means, and platforms like this, and I think that is very commendable. And as more and more organizations do that, I agree with the whole social media influence. As much as it is an engine to learn limitlessly, it's also, depending on the narrative and depending on how impressionable people are and the users of social media are, it can also be quite damaging. And so I think that's where biases and stereotypes can also then manifest into something that steers us away from ultimately wanting to celebrate diversity and making people feel included. I think it's one of the issues for me, I think, is a cultural divide, and just creating enough initiatives for people to learn more about it and be open to learning. But people sometimes are resistant to change, and that's a barrier in itself. Sometimes in the things that we communicate, are we making sure that everybody understands the communication and that it reaches everybody, or is excluding other groups? So just trying to think of ways to reach a greater audience that really make up what Canada is and who we all are here together, trying to move forward. So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. And so what I'm hearing is sort of that leading by example, so to speak, just kind of keep on keeping on, and then I hope that someone's paying attention, and, learning from the silent partner, I guess, so to speak. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. And Dr. Guru, I wondered if you could jump into the conversation as well, and some challenges that we face in our communities, both with diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, I will say that if you talk about diversity, and here in particular, as I told earlier, it is very important that diversity should be totally understood by each and every person living in Canada. That is inclusion. It is like an infusion of new food. Because here, what I have seen from I will say, the ground level, mostly I travel most of the pockets in Ontario, like Mississauga, Brampton, Waterloo, Windsor, or here in Pickering, and all these things, because I move quite much in our community.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have found is that it is I will say that I was not happy to hear all these things, but they are at their point, they are very right. Everyone wants to save their culture. And here, what I have learned from the society is that they say that our children are getting away from our religion and culture. That in the schools, children, they are meeting with other communities. And particularly their desire is to understand those different cultures. But the parents, what they think that they are getting away from that. I generally tell them that children are not getting away from that. They are trying to understand the world now, because there are different, I think more than 120 there here in Canada. There are around, I will say that nowadays, maybe around 100 countries, different people are here. So they have brought their culture and their food also, and their dress also. It is all people have different. So we are here trying this particular, I will say, the platform, which why we are talking here, that we are trying that it should be taken as a very light way and to understand each other. If we will not understand each other, it will be not a harmony in the community. To produce a harmony in the community is very important, that we have to understand the other's needs, others' wishes, others' thought. So that is the diversity.
Mhm.
So I tell them that don't worry about it. Your own culture will never be get affected. It is only that you are understanding others' feeling. You are respecting them. You will only respect when you will understand the other's opinion and their thought. As I tell, nature has made a one language, that is a, I, u, u. Then we have made different languages. But in all languages, the thoughts are the same. Every religion, every person like to be get respect and to give respect. Nobody likes that it should be, one should speak lie, one should make theft. Nobody like that. So giving the respect. So that means in each and every religion, the basic concept of the mankind is the same. There is only different way of languages which we express. So if we understand those language, we will understand that all human beings are the same type of things. As a doctor, I will say that every human being has the same blood. Same blood groups, different groups are there, but they are all, the blood is red, and everybody cry the same. Everyone has come through the life from that same cycle, and the same cycle we will go with.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it is very important that we should not get worry about getting diversity inclusion. It is very good, I will say.
Thank you, Dr. Guru. So live the life, embrace the differences, embrace diversity, celebrate inclusion, if you will. And, it starts at a very young age, it's, from birth, really, how we're accepted in our communities, and it underscores with mental health throughout our whole life.
Yeah.
So validating each other as human beings is so very important in order to balance our mental health and all of the challenges that we face in our world today. So, it could be on a very deep level that we have to address some of these concerns. But the reason we're here today is talking about the ways that we can try to overcome by imparting knowledge to other communities and in our own communities. Thank you, Dr. Good. I appreciate that. Going to move over to Councillor Lee. Same question, please, and thank you. Some challenges maybe you face in your writing, in general, as a professional, in daily life.
Honestly speaking, there are quite a few challenges. One of them, as many of us already just touch on a little bit, or maybe just mentioned it. A lot of people basically just associate diversity with many of the recent political events happening in the world, or associate them with the news, what have been hearing on the news. Well, just take an example. Well, not long ago when COVID started, a lot of people basically think, well, that was from China. Basically, it's from Wuhan. So a lot of attacks and a lot of verbal war, whatever, has been going on, and have been attacking the Chinese origin. Myself, I'm from Hong Kong, but still, Hong Kong is now part of China, right? I was a little bit easier on that, but for people basically who were immigrated from mainland China, basically took the heat and got targeted so often. So that's one thing. Versus also, or for other countries as well, like between the Tamil communities, they are very split throughout those different like political incidents and stuff. So it has been quite a difficult journey when we were on one hand we're talking about diversity, inclusiveness, But then when it comes on the news, we're hearing every single day, people keep talking, whoa, yeah, you guys came from China. So they already got the prejudice and already got, well, actually, well, I'm not the one who brought the virus here. I'm not the one who started the war. So this is actually very hard to get a balance.
Yeah.
This is one thing. And the other thing is, even though we would like to, I honestly, for myself personally, I really embrace and I really appreciate what the city of Markham has been doing. They are very open and they are very inclusive in terms of the city's policy for hosting events, for different cultural events. We're actually very giving a lot of attention to different ethnic groups. Let's say we have different flag raising ceremonies happening at the city civic center's flagpole, and well, we actually everything we're upon request. Whenever there is an association coming to apply, we got a little bit of screening process, but most of them, they're easily got like being approved, and the flag raising or another recognition event will be done very easily at the civic center. But this is also, I should say, well, another drawback is that people were so attached to their own culture, own events, to the point that there are so many events of their own culture happening in the community. And when we're talking about like how to understand each other's culture, the crossover thing, I was kind of envisioning that didn't really happen. So we have our own Taste of Asia annual signature event right in my ward at the city of Markham, where it's a big, large street festival, one of the largest across North America. It's a street festival with a lot of vendors, food, and games and stage performances whatsoever. And the organizer tend to invite different cultural groups to feature every year or to come back or to stage for a theme of performances, let's say. So, but what I have observed is the organizer is also Chinese. And even though how diverse, how much they would like to include every single like Asian communities, they got a dedicated hour for performance or like a stage theme for them. What I observed is, well, the people from their own culture, of course, they were going to support that hour or that particular event. But when it comes to trying to understand or being educated about other different cultures, it's still a long way to go. I should say. So these are quite a few challenges that year after year that I come across.
Councillor Lee, thank you. That is real, actually, in our communities. And I know having taught international students and newcomers myself, and it's always been at the core of everything we do. And, even just, for example, something like someone changing their name, wanting to change the name when they arrive in Canada, I would discourage ultimately, to keep your original name, feeling that they had to assimilate into society. But it runs deep in everything that we do. And it's really about world citizenship, as Dr. Guru also said, exploring really what it means to be a world citizen and how do we find ways to incorporate everybody's opinion, that it matters, yes, but the action and agents of change, and how do we do that? So it is quite deep, and yes, we can have festivals, but having diverse festivals is very key. Diverse opinions is very key. Diverse performers, diverse food, diverse decision making, and that everybody sees themselves at the table. Is so very important. And all of the work that we do, whether it be the Toronto Zoo and, council representation, SIU, Dr. Guru in mental health, it seems to be that we're really having to push where it should come naturally, really, as a human being. But sometimes it just takes by example, sometimes for people to pay attention from the sidelines, if you will, and think, you know what, I kind of would like to be a part of that, or I'd like to be a part of that to make change. I disagree with that. And that's okay to disagree, but finding commonalities along the way. So no, that I can hear your passion in all of you when you're speaking, that diversity and inclusion, it runs deep and it's part of our society, and we do have to embrace it, and including the media, and our representation of what we show in the media as well, and what our young people are seeing, Do we have any questions at this point for each other? Yes, Dr. Guru? Yeah.
One thing I will like to comment is that, as our counselor said about it is a long way to go, but I will say that taking a one step will shortcut the way. And here we are talking about that. At least we have taken one step here.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you must have seen, and all of us seen that Moksha Canada is doing diversity program on the streets also, in the squares, where you will see that every person who is passing through, he comes there, and when they listen to the music and they have danced there. So that is one of the thing. We have to make people closer. As I earlier said, that if you want that if your religion should be respected, you have to respect the other's religion. Every person, what I have said, observe is that this and our culture is very rich. My culture, my religion is very good. Right. Your culture is good. Your religion is very rich. But others are also on the same global. They have also come through the same type of life. And you have to just, as I said, it is the only difference of the language. Other feelings are the same. When you get prick, the same type of we comes out from each and every person, whether he is from China or from India or from Africa.
That's it.
Pain is
Yeah.
felt in the same way. And the laughter is also like that. So go ahead, please.
No, that's great. It's awesome, And again, having I love it when I see a group in one classroom, I guess, if you are one learning space, and everybody is from a different culture, or a few from one culture, a few from another. It's so electrifying, I guess, if you will, when you can be a part of that and share in that space. It's very, very uplifting. For those of you who don't know, I did traditional Chinese dancing. Yes, I did, and studied Mandarin, but I'm a little bit, but it was just the most, the most wonderful, uplifting thing. And again, teaching international students allowed me to open my heart and step outside myself, really, because that's really what you have to do. Yes, I'm an immigrant myself, but learning and growing with different cultures is so very key to who I am as a person. But thank you for that, Dr. Guru. I'm just looking around. Any other questions at this point for each other, maybe? No, we're doing okay. We're celebrating you. We're celebrating your opinions. We're celebrating community, and Moksha Canada is allowing us to do that for the Toronto Diversity Festival 2024 Panel Discussion. And a shout out to Sunil Channon, who is the executive director, who is the brainchild of Moksha Canada. So thank you for that. We're going to continue on. We do have challenges in all the work that we do, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I think we take it on every day from the time we get up in the morning to the time we go to bed. So how do we go about doing that in the different types of work that we do? What are some strategies then? And I think that this is very key for anybody listening and tuning in. Maybe they can't articulate it themselves personally, but they're listening in to you as an advocate in the community, as a contributor in the community. They're also contributors, but maybe you're articulating it for them. What are some strategies that we can set in place to build bridges while navigating both diversity and inclusion? I'll start with Allison.
I think, again, it comes down to openness, fostering open communication, having those hard conversations, and being willing to listen to others' experiences and what their desires are for a better world. How do we get there? By listening, by trying to understand, by being open. I think those are the most important things, because everybody has a different experience, and everybody's experience has led them down a different path. Right. So, and I think that understanding where people come from and where they're trying to go, and I think it would definitely be a good way to build bridges between communities, between cultures, to have a better understanding, so we can move forward together and live in this world together, not just exist, but live in this world together in harmony.
Allison, I think about your parents because of your bio, and maybe how much of an impact they made on you, and you today, making decisions in the community. And I wondered if you could speak to that and how much they've taught you about addressing some of these things in life.
Well, my parents came here in the early to mid 70s. So it was shortly after the civil rights movement. So they faced a lot of discrimination when they came here. They both told me about scenarios where, they would apply for a job and they hear that, the job's open. And then once they present themselves in person, it's been taken, right? Both have told me stories about that. So they've both raised me to be strong, not feel like I'm inferior to anyone else, not let anybody else make me feel like I'm less than, and taught me that we all belong here. We're all the same. The only thing that makes us different is how we look, our appearance. But on the inside, we all have the same makeup. Right. So, everybody has feelings. Everybody has physical feelings, emotional feelings. Everybody is the same. We just look different. Right. And not to let anybody make me feel like that makes me any less than anyone else. I think that was important for them.
Shout out to Allison's parents. Anyone? Yes, Allison, key and core. It's the core of who you are as a person, obviously. So thanks for sharing that. And I think that's really important because that's shaped you in your decision making as you move forward in your adult life, right?
And one other thing I wanted to add is even down to my name. My
Yeah.
mother chose to give me a name that on paper you couldn't tell what my ethnicity was, so it wouldn't hold me back when I was looking for a job later on in life because she knows what she experienced here.
That's sort of speaking to what I was mentioning before of if we can try to not have to do that, unfortunately, Thank you for also sharing that tidbit. I appreciate it. That's a big deal for a parent to make that decision to open some doors for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. I'm going to go on to Tina here as well. Thank you, Alice. I really appreciate it. We'll have some questions at the end of our conversation, but I wonder, again, same thing, Tina, what are some strategies that we can set in place to build bridges? Yeah.
For sure. I mean, similar to Allison's story, reminded my own parents as well, who came around the same time from India, very little English, and tried to make it in the big world of Canada when they got here and went through some of the similar challenges. And, I think that's why I have that empathy. And I always talk about the power of empathy, to know what your parents and the struggles they went through. And, that's something that you instill and you develop this empathy. And it's what I instill in my children as well. So definitely those experiences do shape you as a person and make you a better person. And I see that in Allison. And I think that's something that we can definitely relate to when it comes to the struggles that our parents went through. Building bridges, again, I alluded to this earlier. I do believe that there is a bit of a cultural divide. And part of that is because we just don't know enough. And there's the fear of the unknown. And so then these prejudices and stereotypes start to happen. And there's the opportunity that what are we doing as a society to help bridge that gap so that awareness is out there, so that we're educating, so that, there's something we should be celebrating, not really looking at the differences and then changing the narrative, ensuring that, we have open communication, and that, again, power of empathy, creating those safe spaces, safe environment for people to feel that they belong, that they're respected. And that, I think, fosters a safe environment for people to belong, for people to feel like we're one. I think is definitely something that we need to bridge. And in my personal life, again, just being open and respectful and taking the time to learn about different cultures. Again, it's all in the education and the awareness and knowing what people go through and hearing the stories and creating those safe spaces for people to be able to tell those stories, I think is very important. And in my professional life, how can I bring that into everything I do? We spend 90% of our time, our waking hours, at work, 90 hours a week at work. I mean, waking hours, it's a significant amount of time that we should be using that opportunity to take what we've learned and take what we believe in, and, you know, what we, what are, you know, what we stand for, and bring and foster it into our everyday lives. So those are things that I think taking the opportunity in every walks of life to really create awareness is, I think, is key for building those bridges.
Thank you for that. And thank you for also mentioning your parents. Shout out to the Sharma family. Really appreciate that, because it really does shape our foundation of who we are and what we impart into the community. Empathy seems to be a common theme here, and openness in our conversation, as opposed to apathy, fortunately, at least in this platform anyhow. And we're trying to make it work in our communities and live, do it naturally, I guess, if you will. Dr. Guder, I wonder if you can jump in, and then we'll jump over to Councillor Lee. I know a few people have to go soon within a 10-minute period. So let's see what we can do here in our conversation. And Tina, if you do have to scoot off, we'll probably, just let us know and we can wrap it up for you, and we'll continue on the conversation. So
Okay, I've got about 5 minutes before my next
5 minutes? Okay, thank you. Let's see if we can do this here. Dr. Guru?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We are talking about now how to make the bridge in the community.
Pardon, Dr. Guru?
Bridging the community.
Reaching the community. Yes.
One of the best example is the hospital.
Hospital.
Yes.
Yes.
If we understand that, when we get sick and we go to the hospital, and we never ask that I want to be treated by my community's doctors. And when you need a blood, you never say that who is giving me the blood.
Yes, right. Yes, I remember seeing a show around that, and I thought the person
One should always think like that.
Yes.
We all are here to help each other. God has sent us to help each other. He has not sent us to fight with each other. As she is from the zoo and she knows much about the animals, you will see that one type of animal, they never fought with each other until there is something very unexpectedly going something wrong. And particularly, as we have said, that there could be some differences, but it is not always that. Most of the differences in the community, what I see is that is about the sexual assaulting. And that is one of the things that also gives people away from the others, because there are other different, we'll say, the culture in their society about the sex. But you see, in the animals, they are of a different type.
You can learn a lot.
Yes, we have
We
to
absolutely can. Thank you for that.
I know Tina has to. Oh,
we have the Tina here. It was a opportunity last month. I met her in the diversity program there, and we have some talk about there. That should be the passion. He's doing with the work with passion. And I will say also, our Moksha Kandya, all who are joined they have also this passion to make this our society good. So that's why we are doing this diversity programs. That is the only way to create a peace. As he was talking about that, about this COVID and now these wars, they are making all the hatred. I will say that if politicians are to be abolished from this world, the world will be a very peaceful thing to live.
Oh, Dr. Guru. Look, we'll give Councillor Lee a chance to comment in a moment.
Good people are not coming in the political field. All when they say, people say politics is a dirty thing. Then who is going to clean that dirt? Until unless the good people will not come into that society. This society is made by us. So it is our duty or our thinking how we want that our society should work out.
Thank you, Dr. Guru. I want to give Tina Sharma a chance to exit gracefully there. I know she has to scoot off, but we really do want to thank you, Tina, for being here and being a part of this conversation. We could go on for hours. It's the kind of thing that, we're all passionate about.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to say thank you to my fellow panelists. I've met some of you. Allison, it was wonderful to meet you. I think that what you've said really resonated with me and just our upbringing. And Councillor Lee, I'm a Markham resident of 20 years, so I commend you for all the work that you've done. I see it. I see what you've said and your vision of this, of the city. I do see lots of efforts here and celebrating diversity and creating the awareness. So kudos to you for the work that you've done here. Dr. Guru, it was such a pleasure meeting you at at our Toronto Zoo's Multicultural Festival over a month ago, and I look forward to embracing more of that. I love what some of the points that you made. I think it really resonates as well. And there's a greater fight I loved your hospital analogy. I mean, when I'm listening to you say that, I'm like, that's so true. At the end, we celebrate the fact that we're all one, like humanity, right? It's like we are celebrating humanity, and there's a greater fight in this world. And when we talk about conservation and just climate change, and there's a greater fight in this world that unites us all as human beings, irrespective of where we come from, what our cultural background is, what we look like. There is a greater fight, and that's something that the Toronto Zoo is really trying to create that awareness. And it's all about the science and conservation. And we've got animals who are going extinct. Like the world is not doing so well, and we need to unite and try to fight that, and help people prosper and blossom and grow together. I just wanted to also thank Moksha Canada, because I have been grateful for the partnership that we welcomed 2 years ago when we had our first multicultural festival at the Toronto Zoo. It is recognized as one of the most anticipated festivals of the year. We get so much great feedback. I love just bringing diversity and showing different cultures. I lose myself in the festival. I have so much fun, and just seeing the joys and cheers and smiles and the energy that it brings to our guests, our staff, our community. I think that is the connection I was looking for, and I couldn't have done that without Moksha. So I look forward to many more of that, and I hope all of my fellow panelists will be at the next Multicultural Festival at the Toronto Zoo, and we welcome you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Talk again.
Thanks.
Care. Bye-bye. We'll carry on with our conversation. That was amazing. It sounded like words of wisdom to me. So I might pose that question, think about it to our panelists as we get ready to wrap up. We have a little bit more time here. I'd like to give Councillor Lee a chance to answer that question regarding strategies and building bridges in our community and how we go about doing that. From your perspective as a councillor, maybe you can even reference what Dr. Guru was saying as well. and also as a citizen, a private citizen as well.
Yeah, all I can comment is we have the good people here. So everything, good deeds, good strategies start here.
Yeah.
I really thank Moksha Canada, and especially in particular Sunil. He was very upfront and actually very open to share his vision with me, and I thank for his vision and to invite me to be part of one of the multicultural festival in my area. So we are actually helping each other out to set things out in my ward, hopefully at one of my community centers, to set out like a multicultural diversity festival. So this is actually, it's very different from what I have organized previously, where it's targeting one particular or a few particular ethnic groups, like the Taste of Asia, whatever. This is actually hoping to incorporate, include every single different diversities, basically everyone. So hopefully we'll be able to send a message out to everybody that this is your own festival. Whenever you need a platform to showcase whatever you want people to know, come here. So this is something that I can picture myself being part of it, and I'm already very excited about this. So This is one thing. And the other thing I would say, in terms of my daily life, incorporating diversity and inclusion strategies, well, honestly, I'm learning every day on my job, on my position. And I also would like my family, my kids to learn more about it. And especially on this particular issue, everywhere that I go, every event of about diversity and inclusion, I wish I could also bring my kids there. So, and to a point that let them go out and explore, and to just expose to all different cultures, even the food cultures, music cultures, art cultures. Just I know the school has been teaching them quite a bit of these already, including the indigenous studies. But again, how to incorporate into your daily life, not just from the books, not just from your regular studies. This is very important. So I hope that, well, we will be able to start from small, start from like a family groups, having some field trips or like a discussion groups to talk about all these, getting people, getting kids to be familiarized with the environment. This is what we call multiculturalism. This is what we call diversity. We are living in a country that not just with one race, one skin color, but with everyone. How are we gonna just cope with each other to respect each other? This is a very, very key message. Because basically I still see, not happening in my kids' school, but I still hear some of the kids saying, well, they have been facing discrimination. They have been facing like being bullied, more or less because of, we are different. So how different? We are actually the same. We are also, we're human beings, right? And we are one. We are in the same community. So this message is very important to be taught and to be embedded in every student's mind. I'm not just student, every one of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully in the future, we'll be able to come up with something, or bit by bit, starting to just get this word, get the message, get the vision out.
Mm-hmm. Powerful words as well too. I wondered, thank you so much for that. So it's our civic duty, our duty as citizens to provide that platform to embed knowledge and share in the learning experiences together. And again, it starts very, very young as we're talking about the youth, and it kind of incorporates into our curriculum and other things that we do. And it sounds like giving service. We're all part of giving service in our communities, and that's truly the heartbeat of each community. The ability to step outside yourselves, display empathy, listen, learn, and grow together. I wondered, those sounds like words of wisdom to me. I wondered, Allison, if you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to wrap up with before we finish this conversation.
Well, I want to touch on what you just said, listen, learn, and grow. I think that it's very important that we all lead by example. If we want to see change, we have to be willing to be that driving force to put forth those examples that we need to put forth to drive that change, right? We have to listen. We have to be willing to speak up when we see things that aren't right, when we hear people being treated badly, or see people being treated badly or being treated differently because of who they are or what their abilities are. We need to speak up and be in defense of those people. We ourselves need to be cognizant of how we're treating people, because we are examples, especially working with the public and things like that. We do have to set that example, right? Trying to understand. There's always more to learn. You're not going to know everything. So as long as you're open to learning and understanding, we'll find ourselves in a better place. Just everybody needs to get there.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Dr. Guru, as we wrap up here.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely. As our counsel Lee said, that it is very important to start these things with the children, and particularly with the schools. And you will agree with me or not that in schools I have seen that every culture from it is celebrated in the schools, like Black Day, like Asian Day, like that. but that is more on the paper. I will say it is a paper lion. It's not a real goat.
Mhm. Yeah.
Agreed.
So it should be properly taught, or it should be properly celebrated in the schools with those people who are really from that community and all that. Like we can hire some artists, they can go there, they can make some plays, some dances, or the songs about that, or the poetry competitions.
Mm. Yeah.
Poetry is one of the best thing to understand things, because there are few words which speaks a lot. So different type of poetry should be taught, and it should be discussed with them.
Mhm.
And I will say that as a counselor, you should try to make a platform in your area where the poets are to be invited from different culture, different, and general public should come there, because poetry is a so good thing that it affects the people
Mhm.
by
This is
saying.
coming. It is coming. Yes. Talk
Oh.
to Sunil. It is coming.
And in particular, I will say that in Moksha, Canada, every month we have a last session in our senior wellness program. We call the poets from different culture,
Mm.
and people join from the world even.
Mhm. And Dr. Guru, as you're speaking there, Dr. Guru was also doing some acting recently. He had shared a link with me.
Yes.
He also does some acting on the side as well.
Yeah, that was
And
particularly for the seniors' loneliness. That
right.
topic was on the seniors' loneliness.
So we're talking about spoken word. You can reach people through the arts in many capacities, which is wonderful when you have that intergenerational, cross-cultural learning.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. It's just it's wow, that's just life right there. It's right before us, and taking a part of it, being a part of it. Pardon me. So and we're generally talking about doing and continuing our work in good ways. I wondered if anybody who's listening and tuning in could just speak to you briefly, just before we go, just about if they wanted to get into the type of work that you do in order to make change, to be a part of change. How did you decide to get into your field of interest? I'll start with Allison.
Well, I was born with a curious mind. I was
Ah.
always a curious child, so I'm always digging for information. I've always been one to research anything I'm curious about.
Okay.
So investigation was just a natural path for me,
Oh, wow.
right? And I think that police oversight is very important,
Yeah.
especially with regards to marginalized communities and things that happen in those communities and how things were treated in the past. So I think that having that oversight has made a lot of changes, a lot of positive changes in the way that policing is done. So for me, it was my inquisitive mind that led me down this career path of investigation.
Cool. So anyone listening and tuning in, there you go, right there. Inquiry mind, inquisitive mind. Cool. Thanks, Allison. Appreciate that. You never know what path you're going to unravel. We are passionate about everything that we do in life. And Dr. Guru, I'm going to go to you and then finish off with Councillor Lee, and then we'll wrap up our conversation today for the Toronto Diversity Festival 2024 panel discussion. Dr. Guru, how did you get into your field of work, homeopathic work, and underscoring mental health? Because that's the core of what you do.
I will say that such type of discussions should be more with the different peoples also, and it can be a corner meetings also.
Mm.
And as we are already, the Moksha Canada is doing good, so I will that invite, there's this coming festival, and I want all should come and enjoy that, because that is also going to, because the thing is that we are getting away from each other, trying that for the last, I will say, for the few years. And that is why this mental health program is coming up.
Yeah.
If you go 20 years away, there were hardly any type of the sadness, whatever your depression, I have never seen much cases of
So true.
mental depression in my practice. But now I will say that after five, one person is of the mental health issues, and particularly in the children also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Guru.
So
Okay.
we have to be very careful about this. This is a, I will say, burning topic about, as you said, the mental health. If the mental health is good, the things will become naturally normal. Not understanding each other's culture, or as you say, the cross learning, because our mind is not open.
Mm.
We are squeezing our mind. You see, if you will squeeze your mind, it will squeeze your heart. And then squeezing the heart means going to death.
Now, there's a different type of squeezing heart of falling in love. I know you met your partner a
Yeah.
long, long time
When
ago.
you are squeezing the things, you are making death of the community. You are making the
Yes.
death of the peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to expand yourself.
Yeah.
Expansion can only be done when there is a peaceful mind.
I mentioned your partner in life actually only because it's part of who you are also as a person. Yes, you're an individual, but you complement each other so well. And I think you might have pursued each other over 50 years ago
Right.
in the work that you did. So that speaks to your balance of mental health right there.
Right.
And I don't know if she's listening in, but I hope that she is. So, Dr. Guru, thank you for that. And of course, mental health, the core of everything we do. It's when we get up every day and we go to bed, it's part of everything. So very, very important. I'm going to move on to a final note from Councillor Lee. And how did you pursue your field of interest? Before we wrap up, for anybody listening and tuning in.
Just I will take a few seconds.
Oh, yeah.
You said about my better half, she is from other culture. And at the time of 50 years before, it was very hard to get this type of love marriage. We have gone through that. Now, but now we have understood each other, and our families have understood each other. Our whole we'll say that village has understood that it is good to be mixed with other peoples.
A good story.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
it is a bridge, but we have to be jump in that. One have to make one step to ahead. As you said, very rightly, it is a long journey, but it can be made shorter if unless we not take one step ahead.
Agents of change. Thank you, Dr. Guru. And finally, Councillor Lee.
Well, yes, as Dr. Guru was saying, was mentioning about like love. Love is the greatest thing of all. The love for the community, the passion for the community, basically has driven me to consider running for office. I used to be a journalist, a news anchor with a Chinese TV station. After certain years, the more that I went out for interviews or interviewing people, the more that I heard from even from a resident's point of view, from business's point of view. I was basically not impressed but shocked. A lot of comments were like, well, how hopeless they were with their field, within their field. And basically it's not about anything. It's just that they didn't have the knowledge or they didn't know where to go. And I was like, well, actually, from the little research that I was doing, basically it's all online. Basically, I know this level of government, that level of government, they are responsible for different things. And there are also a lot of social service agencies that will be able to help you with certain needs. So a lot of people don't understand that, and that's how I was actually trying to see, oh, if there is another platform that I could act on like an agent, some kind of like a connector between residents and also other service providers, or like the government or other agencies. So that helped shape me like the way that I'm doing here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much to our guests today for contributing to the conversation. We'll keep the conversation going in our communities. You have been listening and tuning in to our amazing guests, as you can hear, the Toronto Diversity Festival 2024 Panel Discussion, navigating, building bridges and navigating diversity and inclusion. Thank you to all of you. My humble gratitude for allowing, spending time with you today, to sharing your hearts. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Thank
Yeah.
you all. And
Thank
thank you
you.
to Moksha Canada Foundation again, once again.
Thank
Take
you,
care,
Lynn, for
everyone.
arranging this.
Follow us on social media. If you have any ideas for programming, we'd love to hear from you. As Councillor Lee said, we'll be joining in for some ideas and bridge building in the community of Markham and some diversity and inclusion discussions right there. Thank you so much, all. Take care.
Thank you. Bye for now.